I hope that you're doing great. Now, today we're looking at this past paper for Health Science 2023, paper 1. Please remember, if you start the examination, you should write your school number, your candidate number, your name, and also initials, as well as your surname. Please also ensure that you read through the instructions carefully. And if you should have any questions or queries, please talk to your examiner. Let us jump into question number 1. And question number 1 reads, which branch of science deals with the ways of keeping the body and the environment clean? And once you talk about cleanliness, you're talking about hygiene. So hygiene is the correct option for question number 1. Question number 2, which characteristics describes the action of a girl shivering in the cold? And this is sensitivity, also called irritability. So D is correct. Question number 3, which structure joins muscle to bones? And this is a tendon. Ligaments, they connect bone to bone. Cartilage are found at the ends of bones and they reduce friction. And tissues are made up of cells, or simple, when cells combined, they form tissue. For question number 4, it says which statement best describes the action of antagonistic muscles? And this is muscles working in pairs opposite to each other. So option C is correct. And it reads that they work in pairs to bring about voluntary actions or movement. And a typical example of that is the bicep and tricep. And the way antagonistic muscles work is that when one is relaxing, the other one is contracting. All right. And again, as I said, the bicep and tricep is a classical example. Question number 5. It's a diagram below shows a portion of the human skeleton at a joint. It's a where else in the human body would this type of joint be found? And this is a ball and socket joint. So therefore, in the hip, you'll find ball and socket as well. All right. So now, question number 6 is which activity below will involve the use of involuntary muscles? And involuntary muscles is simply muscles that you do not have control over. All right, and those actions that will automatically be done in the body. And so option D is correct, food moving through the alimentary canal. So we can control our arm, being an arm and elbow, we could do that. Bending our arm and elbow, definitely we can do that. So we decide to do that, so that's voluntary. Biting an apple, we decide to do that, that's voluntary. Kicking a ball, we decide to do that, that is voluntary. All right, we cannot determine how food move through our alimentary canal. For question number 7, it says diagram below shows the digestive system. Absorption occurs in R. It says which feature below is present in organ R to allow this process to occur effectively? And this is large surface area. A matter of fact, this is a small intestine. And in the small intestine, on the walls of the small intestine, what we find inside are structures called villi. And villi also further increase the surface area of the small intestine for absorption. All right, so option A is correct for question number 7. Question number 8, they said what happens to the pharynx as food is being swallowed, and pharynx is also the throat. And so what happens there is that the epiglottis closes over the windpipe, and the windpipe is also called the trachea. All right, because food is not allowed to go inside of the lungs. You will choke, and of course, that could be fatal. For question number 9, it says which one of the following organs seems to have an apparent use, no apparent, a matter of fact, I say apparent, but no apparent use in the adult human body. So no apparent use is the appendix. All right. It has a function, but it's minimal, minor, really no true function. However, the cochlea, as we know, it converts sound waves into impulses, and we have retina, which converts light into impulses, and we have the spleen, which filters blood, recycles red blood cells, and also protects us from diseases. All right, so option A is definitely correct one for number 9. For number 10, it's a diagram below shows how food substances pass through the digestive system. What process does this diagram represent? And this is a diagram of the esophagus. And so what takes place there is peristalsis. And peristalsis is when the muscles, they contract and relax to allow food to pass through. In fact, this circle of food or a ball of food is called a bolus. For question number 11, it said, with sentence below explains what happens to the air we breathe in and out of our lungs. And this, if you look at option A, it said air we breathe out has less carbon dioxide than air we breathe in, which is not true. More carbon dioxide goes out than what will come in. And option B says air we breathe out has less hydrogen. That is not true because we don't use it, we don't produce it. And of course, hydrogen by itself is also a reactive gas. For option C, say air we breathe out has less nitrogen than what we breathe in. Not true as well, because we breathe in the same amount of nitrogen and we release the same amount because we do not make it and we do not use it. Option D is correct because they said the air we breathe out has less oxygen. True, because what is coming in, more oxygen. What is going out, it is less oxygen. Also, what is also true, we have more carbon dioxide going out than what is coming in. For question number 12, it said below is the word equation for aerobic respiration. It said what substances are represented by letters X and Y, and X, and this again is aerobic, so X has to be oxygen, so glucose plus oxygen give a carbon dioxide plus water and energy, and so Y must be energy, so therefore D is correct. For question number 13, it said how does the marrow in the bones aid in the circulatory system? And this is the marrow of bones will produce blood cells. And notice option C says produces cells found in the plasma of blood. And what cells we find in the plasma of blood, we call those cells blood cells. All right. And of course, you should know the different types of blood cells, red, white, and platelets. All right. For question number 14, it said the diagram below shows the human heart. It said where does the blood go when it leaves blood vessel R? And blood vessel R is a pulmonary artery. Therefore, it is going to the lungs. The word pulmonary refers to lungs, and blood that is leaving the heart always go through an artery. So the pulmonary artery is that artery that carries blood to the lungs, and so option B is correct. Notice that the labelings, P is the vena cava coming from all over the body into the ventricle, into the atrium first, then into the ventricle. And this side is the right side of the heart. Matter of fact, just make note of that. So the vena cava into the right atrium, then into the right ventricle, and then to the lungs. All right. Q is the aorta that will bring blood all over the body. All right. And this one that is not labeled here with any line is a pulmonary vein that is taking blood from the lungs, and that blood will be oxygenated blood. And also remember the pulmonary vein is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood. All right. And opposite also for pulmonary artery. All right, question number 15. It said, what is the function of the septum in the human heart? And the septum is a muscle that separates left from right. All right, and so therefore option C is correct. It separates the right chambers from the left chambers. All right, and also you can also make a note that the septum also separates oxygenated blood from deoxygenated blood. All right. Question number 16 is the picture below shows the measurement of the pulse in the lower arm. So notice this statement now said, if the measurement taken is 22 beats in 15 seconds, what is the number of beats in 1 minute? And as we know that 15 seconds, right, will have to be multiplied by 4 to get 1 minute. So there's a notation right here that 1 minute equals to 60 seconds. So you want to get a ratio right here to say 60, which is 60 seconds in 1 minute divided by 15 seconds equal to 4. So that's a ratio of 4 times more. All right, and so therefore, if you multiply this 4 by the 22, you get the number of beats in 1 minute. And so 22 multiplied by 4 gives 88. And so we have 88 beats in 1 minute, while we have 22 beats in 15 seconds. All right? All right. So question number 17 now, we said, which blood group must a person have to be able to safely receive blood from all the other blood groups? And this is AB group. AB group is called the universal recipient. So they can receive from everybody, but they cannot give. All right. And so the O group now is called the universal donor. They can give to all groups, but they themselves cannot receive. All right. Question number 18. It said, why do hospitals ask people to donate blood? And this is simply because blood is needed for surgeries and operations, especially during emergencies. All right. And so they need to have blood ready to do emergency surgeries and also operations. All right. So that's why you call it a blood bank. They keep blood in reserve when it's needed for emergency cases, especially, and other cases of operations and surgeries, as suggested in the question. Question number 19. It said, what harmful substance is filtered out of the blood and becomes the main nitrogenous waste excreted from the body? And that is urea. Urea will be filtered out of the blood, the main one. All right. Salt will come out as well, but it's not nitrogenous. All right. We have sugar. Sugar is not containing nitrogen as well. And water definitely not containing nitrogen. So the only one that contains nitrogen is urea. All right. And urea plus salt and water will form urine. You need to make a note of that. Sugar is not in urine. If you find sugar in the urine, that means the person is diabetic. Question number 20. The diagram below represents the human urinary system. All right, as these are labeled, we have here the kidney, we have the ureter, we have the urinary bladder, and we have the urethra. Notice I didn't label what J is, because the thing is that with J, you cannot specifically state what it is because it should indicate by arrow. If the arrow is going down, then that will be the aorta. All right, and then the one that branch off the aorta, the smaller ones, those will be the renal artery. And the next one, if the arrow is going upwards, then that is the vena cava, and the smaller ones that attach to the vena cava, those will be the renal vein. All right, so I cannot specifically state which one it is until it is labeled. Another clue, if they draw the lumen, if you could see the lumen carefully, the smaller lumen will be the artery, all right, and the wider lumen will be the vein. So those are clues that you can look out for, all right, but I did not label that for that specific reason. All right, now here they ask the question now. So which structure helps to regulate the level of water in the body? So what regulating water in the body is the kidneys, all right, and that process is called osmoregulation. And so K is the correct answer. So therefore, option B is correct for number 20. Now, for question number 21, it said, which is not a function of the liver. And the liver does not excrete urine at all. It does not excrete urine. All right. What it removes is urea, not urine. Urine comes out of the kidneys when urea combined with salt and water, as I said earlier. So the answer here is A. It is not excreting that at all. The liver do make bile. All right. The liver makes bile. It produces urea, which is excretory substance. All right, and also stores iron from red blood cells as well. All right. Question number 2. It said the diagram shows a section of the human skin which letter represents the structure that produces melanin, and that is where you have pigmentation or the color of your skin. All right, and so therefore P, which is the epidermis, will contain the color. All right. So, and a matter of fact, pay attention to the labelings. We have here the sweat pore, we have a sweat gland, we have the ear follicle, we have the oil gland, and all right. And please make a note of those. We'll have the nerve endings as well. All right. So pay attention to those as well. All right. Question number 23. So the diagram shows the human brain and spinal cord. Which letter points to the part which controls the involuntary action? And here we have I didn't answer this. Let me answer this. There's the involuntary action. I'm going to leave that quickly for you. So here we have cerebrum, which controls the voluntary actions. All right. So cerebrum controls voluntary actions. All right. So it controls your memory. It controls emotion. It controls the intelligence. So right now you're reading and learning something. Your cerebrum is storing all of this information. The cerebellum is for balance. All right. Balance and coordination. So if you get a hit and you lose consciousness, or well, not even say lose consciousness, but you lose balance, all right, you get knocked out, then the cerebellum is what is being affected. All right. For persons who drink alcohol, for example, the cerebellum is what is being affected. Medulla oblongata controls the involuntary actions. All right. It controls the heartbeat, digestion, respiration, breathing. That's controlled by your medulla oblongata, which is also called a brainstem. Your spinal cord helps with reflex action. Oh, I should have labeled that. You're right, so let's take that off back. All right, your spinal cord controls your reflex actions. All right. All right. So question number 24 is which row in the table correctly matches the stimulus with the receptor, and pain is a stimulus. The skin is a receptor, so A is correct. Pin and prick, those are not stimulus. Those are objects. All right. So the only stimulus here is actually pain. So right off the bat, we know A has to be the correct answer. All right. Question number 25 is a diagram below shows a sensory neuron. And now we know this is a sensory neuron. The cell body is at the side. So pay a note of that. All right. Here we have our nerve endings and here we have a dendrites. Point to note is that impulse always travel from dendrites towards the nerve endings. All right. So please make a note of that. It's a which structure could be found at X and Y. So if it's coming from X, then X could be any of the sense organs. So it could be eye or skin. So the brain could not be the answer here. And then now Y now, and again, this is a sensory, so coming from a sense organ to the spinal cord. And so Y has to be the spinal cord right here. So the skin and spinal cord is the best option. If you have the eye and spinal cord or the brain right here, then here you could give the answer here. But they say hand, which is not making any sense. All right. 26. It's a diagram below shows the structures that make up the human eye. It's a which two labeled parts control the shape of the lens. And the only two parts that control the shape of a lens is the ciliary muscle and the suspensory ligament. And so therefore P and S, they are correct options. And so A is correct. Question number 27 is a serosy. All right, actually spelled the S. So serosy, a bush medicine, is used as a treatment for colds and flu. It's a examine the diagram of the tongue. Let me just slide over a little bit. Examine the diagram of the tongue below and determine which part of the tongue would detect the chemicals in a spoonful of serosy. And serosy is bitter, so therefore we're going to go to P because you taste bitterness at the back of the tongue. The major side part will be sour, all right, which is Q, and then closer to this to the front, closer to the sides, we have salty, and then in the middle portion we have sweetness. So P is the option there. So option A is correct. All right, for question number 28, it said taste is one of the function of the tongue. What is another function of the tongue? And all the options here, the only correct one is A. Is it the form chewed food into a bolus, which is a ball. We talked about that earlier when we talked about peristalsis. All right, so A is correct option right there. 29, they say the diagram A and diagram B show two different activities being carried out. And diagram A is a voluntary action. A girl is riding a bicycle. She is riding, so decide to pedal. She decide to ride. And in diagram B, it is a jerk reflex. So this is a reflex action right here when the doctor knock your knee and your foot may kick out like that. So there's a jerk reflex. And he said, identify the type of actions shown in each diagram. As you said that riding a bicycle will be voluntary. And so B is reflex and A is a voluntary action, decide to ride the bike. So D is the correct option there. All right, and for question number 30, it's a diagram here now shows a human sperm cell. It's a use the diagram to answer question 30 and 31. So for 30, said which letter points to the part where an X chromosome would be found. And chromosomes generally, regardless of what chromosome it is, chromosomes are found within the nucleus. So the nucleus is the correct answer right here, which is B. All right, we also have the entire structure right here is called the head. All right, we have the midpiece, and the midpiece contains a lot of mitochondria that provides energy for the tail to swim. We have D, which is the flagellum, also called the tail. For question number 31 is how many chromosomes are found in these cells? And remember that the number of chromosomes that found in gametes or sex cells will be half the total number. So for human beings, we have 46. So half of 46 will be 23. Okay, so we have 23 chromosomes in sperm cells and also 23 chromosomes in egg cells. All right, for question number 32, we said, which of the following diagrams correctly show the path of a sperm as it travels from where it is made until it is ejaculated? So sperms are made in the testes. So there and then you know that only option B could be correct because sperms are made in the testes. They are stored temporarily in the epididymis and then they travel through the sperm duct, all right, also called the vas deferens. And they end up passing through, coming out of the body through the urethra. For question number 33, it said, which line on the diagram points to the part of the human female reproductive system which dilates during birth? And the cervix is what dilates. So if you look at the labelings, we have P being fallopian tube or oviduct, This structure right here that is kind of ovally shaped, that's the ovary that produces egg. All right, and also hormones as well. We have the uterus, we have the cervix, which is R, which is the correct answer, and we have S, which is the vagina. And so C is the correct option for 33, for 33, a matter of fact. For question number 34, it says, which type of twins are formed when a fertilized egg, a single egg, all right, which is fertilized, divides completely into two parts before implantation, and that must be identical twins. Identical twins come from the same egg, while fraternal twins, they come from different eggs. And the point to note is that identical twins are always the same gender. Fraternal twins can be the same gender or different gender. All right? Now, question number 35, it says, a diagram below shows two types of contraceptives that a woman could use. It said, let me see what it said, why may the condom be a better choice than the birth control pills? And condom is always better because condom will also prevent STDs, not just prevent pregnancy, but also STDs. So therefore, option B is correct. And this is only true if it is used properly without bursting. All right, so definitely option B is correct. Question number 36. It's a proper hygiene practices became essential during COVID-19 pandemic. Which practice below was emphasized? Bathe regularly, that's supposed to be a normal, well, that is a normal thing. Way before COVID, you should bathe every day, more than once. All right, brush your teeth after eating. That's a daily habit, a daily hygiene practice. Cut your nails regularly. Oh yes, that is to prevent dirt from clogging on your nails, especially if you cook. So that's supposed to be a daily practice as well. But wash your hands often with soap and water. That is prevent the spread of the virus. So that was mostly emphasized during COVID-19. All right, question number 37. It said the table below shows the number of reported cases of measles on an island. It said in which year was the measles vaccine likely to have been introduced to fight against measles? Now the thing is this: once there's a decrease, that's when it starts. So therefore, 1945 is the correct answer. That is when you see the first increase. All right. So we didn't know what is happening in 1935. We can't see about that. But once you see a decrease in number, which is the first decrease, that there is 1945. Question number 38. They said acquired immune deficiency syndrome, which is also called AIDS, cannot be cured, but gonorrhea can. What is the best explanation for this? And simple: virus, because HIV is a virus, right? HIV leads to AIDS. And virus, you really can't cure viral diseases. You only can treat them. But bacterial diseases such as gonorrhea, you can cure bacterial diseases by taking antibiotics. All right? So antiviral drugs exist, but they only control. They do not get rid of or cure. Question number 39 is excessive drinking of alcohol would most likely damage which organ of the human body? And this is the liver. The liver detoxifies poison or break down alcohol. All right. Last question of the day. It said there are many health risks associated with smoking tobacco. Which product in cigarette is a carcinogen, which means cause cancer? And that is the tar. The tar is the major one. As a matter of fact, anything could cause cancer. All right, unfortunately. But tar is the major component that will may trigger or cause cancer. So at this point, I want to thank you for watching, and also good luck on the examination. And please subscribe and stay tuned. Talk to you soon.